The wall of tires rose in Marcus Alvarez's windshield like a black rubber wave. He remembered the shrill snap of the steering column as he tried to correct, the sickening tumble, the way the world turned to liquid smoke inside his helmet. Then everything went still, too still for a man who lived at 230 miles an hour. 3 weeks later, he sat in a neurologist's office with his arm cocooned in fiberglass and his head pounding from residual concussion. The doctor's verdict, forced medical leave until further notice, landed like a red flag penalty. Marcus argued, but the doctor's eyes were immovable granite. No racing, no kart testing, no simulator marathons. He left the clinic to gray rain and emptier calendar pages than he'd seen since grade school. The team sent flowers, his agent sent insurance paperwork, and the motorsport blogs sent speculation about whether Flash Alvarez's career was finished. Marcus paced his condo, counted the 90-second intervals on his microwave, and felt time expand into an unbearable canyon. Find something that slows you down, the team psychologist advised on their obligatory video call, preferably with your hands, preferably without engines. Marcus scrolled half-heartedly through adult ed listings. Watercolor, bread baking, bird watching. Then a title snagged him, Clay and Calm, Beginner Pottery, with Elena Karpova. Each session ended with the promise of quiet mind, steady hands. Marcus snorted. His hands had pulled 6G corners at Monaco. How hard could pottery be? The community center studio smelled of wet earth and sawdust, a startling opposite of ethanol and hot tires. 10 wheels lined the walls, each with a small pail of muddy water. A handful of students in aprons waited while a woman tightened the knob on the industrial kiln. Elena Karpova moved like wind in gauze, economical but fluid. Her weight balanced even on a right ankle, stiffly wrapped in flesh-colored tape. Her hair was a copper coil pinned high, revealing a profile he recognized from a dance magazine his publicist once brought for artistic inspiration in a sponsorship shoot. Karpova, the swan who fell, the article had read. Achilles rupture during a Moscow performance, career ended mid-pirouette. She glanced at Marcus's sling. Medical exile. Car crash, he said. A compatriot in unwanted retirement, she returned softly. Grab an apron, driver. Centering clay is harder than steering into a 40-knot headwind. Marcus slammed the gray lump onto the wheel, jammed the gas pedal, no, foot lever, and watched centrifugal force fling the mass into wobbling orbit. His fingers tried to bully it into shape. The clay squalled, buckled, and finally shot off the wheel, spattering another student's sneakers. Across from him, Elena worked her own mound. She braced her elbows against her ribs, posture of a dancer about to pirouette, and let the clay rise between her hands like a slow tide. She wasn't forcing, she was listening. Marcus wiped sludge from his cheek. It's not cooperating. It cooperates when you surrender, she replied. The wheel has its tempo. You can't rush the turn. He heard the word turn the way any racer would. You set up your entry, wait for the apex, roll onto throttle only when the car is ready. How had he forgotten that? He breathed, steadied his left hand to form a living wall, and eased his right fingertips to the center. The mound quivered, slumped, but stayed on the wheel. Progress. After class, Elena locked up the studio. Marcus lingered, flexing the fingers of his uninjured hand. You teach many crash victims? He asked. She chuckled. Only life's crash victims. Her limp was subtle but constant, a ghost of pain in each step. She didn't hide it. That intrigued him. He who masked every tremor behind reflective visors and PR smiles. Do you miss it? He blurted. Breathing? She teased. Dancing, she considered. I miss becoming music. Clay is silent, but it still moves. And it doesn't punish me for falling. Marcus thought about the concrete walls at Texas Motor Speedway and how they did, in fact, punish. Week 2. Rain drummed the roof. It might as well have been thunder on a front straight. Marcus's first attempt at a cylinder collapsed again. Rage clenched in his chest. The old driver's reflex, force it, cut the corner, power through, roared inside him. Elena appeared at his wheel. Without asking, she placed her hands over his, her palms cool and certain. "Feel the heartbeat," she said. They slowed the wheel foot pedal until the hum was barely audible. Marcus felt the clay pulse under Water's skin. He exhaled. The mound steadied, rose, opened. A vessel took form, not pretty, but undeniable. A warmth blossomed in his sternum, the same flicker he felt when perfect tire pressure let a car dance in his fingertips. "You see," she whispered, "patience is speed in disguise." He didn't know whether she meant the pot or his life. Between classes, he found himself studying videos of potters as though they were onboard laps. He noted hand positions, pressure changes, timing. He bought a beginner's wheel and installed it in the unused guest room, the one formerly devoted to racing trophies. The tiny motor's hum at night was a lullaby far gentler than the snarling V6 he ached to rejoin. Most evenings he texted Elena photos of lopsided bowls. She responded with emojis of applause or, occasionally, a dancer bowing. One afternoon, she asked if he could drive her to a supply warehouse. Her ankle swelled in the humidity and remained unreliable on the subway stairs. He hesitated. The team still forbade highway speeds, but the civic roads stayed under the doctor's 45 mile limit. She climbed into the passenger seat and traced the carbon fiber brace on his wrist. "Does it hurt?" "Only when I remember the crash," he said, surprised by his own honesty. "I relive my fall on stage," she admitted, "every time I hear Tchaikovsky. But fear is only memory in costume." A silence blossomed. Tender, not awkward. They bought 20 pounds of stoneware clay and 3 jars of celadon glaze. On the ride back, Marcus drove like an old man, savoring each green light instead of attacking it. She smiled as though she noticed. Class 7 was glazing day. Shelves brimmed with bisque-fired pieces awaiting color. Marcus found his squat vessel. It looked like a track oval, its rim slightly higher on one side, as if banking for turn 3. "What story will it tell?" Elena asked. He chose a smoky gray underglaze, then streaks of scarlet at the lip, colors of his racing livery. She showed him how to sweep the brush with the subtlety of a pour de bras, letting his wrist relax, letting gravity complete the line. "When you race again," she said, "will you drive slower?" He laughed. "Sponsors don't pay for slow." "No," she agreed, "but they pay for finish lines. To finish, you must stay on the track." She tapped his clay. "Stay on the track, Marcus." The kiln opened a week later. Students gathered like anxious parents at a nursery window. Elena lifted each piece with kiln gloves, announcing results. Most survived intact. Marcus's emerged with a hairline fracture arcing around its midsection like a visible scar. His stomach lurched. Failure again. Elena rotated the vessel under the light. The crack had filled with the red glaze, creating a lightning streak through stone. "Kintsugi accident," she said. "Beauty in breakage. We keep it?" Marcus thought of twisted suspension arms, of concussion headaches that flared when he bent too fast, of the bruise still purpling her ankle. He nodded. "We keep it." 2 days later, the neurologist cleared him for simulator work and light track testing. His team scheduled a private day at Laguna Seca. Marcus messaged Elena. "Got my green flag. Want to watch clay in motion?" She arrived at dawn in a windbreaker that swallowed her petite frame. Leaning on a cane she rarely let students see. The Indy car sat in pit lane, a creature of angles and carbon. Marcus's pulse spiked. He strapped in, but before lowering the visor, he stilled his breath the way Elena had taught. Feel the wheel, feel the center. The engine lit, the car rumbled like caged thunder, yet waited, surprisingly patient, for his command. Outlap. He rolled through the corkscrew, every nerve on audit. The memory of impact haunted the braking zones. Instead of fighting it, he labeled it, the way she labeled fear, memory in costume. He traced the racing line as though it were a groove in wet clay. Hands gentle, corrections small. The car rewarded him with lap times only 0.2 off his season best. When he stopped, Elena approached, eyes shining. "You didn't attack," she observed. "I listened," he replied. "Same as the wheel." August brought the Grand Prix of Sonoma, his first competitive race post-crash. Media swarmed, hungry for redemption narrative. Marcus fielded questions with newfound, unhurried cadence, as if each sentence had to be wedged evenly between palms. Elena watched from pit wall, wearing a headset sized for a much larger skull. She'd become unofficial Team Potter, gifting coffee mugs glazed in sponsor colors. The crew loved her. Green flag. Marcus launched clean, settled into P4. The urge to lunge and turn, one flickered, but he remembered the vessel's crack. The value of staying on the track. And he waited 3 laps, tires up to temp, then picked off P3 with a textbook over-under. Half distance. Caution bunched the field. Crew chief barked fuel numbers. Marcus calculated risk. The leader burned soft tires early. Patience, he told himself. Surrender to tempo. With 6 laps left, he made his move in the carousel. Inside line, no wheel spin. Out of turn 11, he glanced at the grandstands, caught a flash of copper hair. Final lap, clear track, engine in full song. He crossed the stripe first by 0.8. Cheers flooded radio. Marcus let them wash over him, but felt something calmer beneath, a centered hum like clay on a wheel. That evening, the paddock transformed into impromptu picnic. Mechanics hoisted beer, journalists lobbed microphones. Someone produced Marcus's cracked vessel, now filled with victory champagne. He poured a measure into a paper cup and handed it to Elena. "For the teacher," he said. She raised the cup. To Patience. They drank. Wind carried the smell of burned rubber and grape, must, oddly harmonious. He looked at her ankle, the cane resting against a tire stack. "Will you dance again?" "I dance each time I walk without fear," she said. "And you? Will you throw more pots?" "Every off weekend," he promised. Their eyes held. No grand declaration, just quiet understanding. 6 months later, a children's rehabilitation hospital invited Marcus to speak about overcoming injury. Cameras expected a motivational drive-fast speech. Instead, he and Elena wheeled in 2 portable pottery wheels. Kids with arm casts and leg braces gathered round. Marcus centered a lump of clay, guiding a boy whose fingers trembled from nerve repair. Elena balanced on a stool, showing a girl in a halo brace how to let the wheel's gentle momentum lift the walls of a tiny cup. "You don't fight the spin," Marcus told them. "You feel it," Elena added. "Remember, cracks can become lightning." The room filled with patient whirring, with laughter, with concentrated silence, the peculiar music of clay and hope. Marcus looked at Elena across the wheels. Her smile carried the grace of a stage she no longer needed. His own reflection shone on the wet clay between his palms, distorted, imperfect, alive. And for the first time since that black wall of tires, Marcus Alvarez felt no urge to be anywhere else, no ache for more speed than the slow rotation that tethered him, softly, to the present,